Hey guys, and welcome to my Tera Online Guide to Mystics. This is probably the most requested guide, so I'll try to go into as much detail as possible about this class. First thing I'll say is that Mystics are a very unique class, and playing them isn't going to be like anything else in other MMOs. Some may love the playstyle, and some may absolutely hate it. But either way, they are a very good class to pick if you enjoy playing a support healer. So let's get started. Boop! The first ability you'll get as a Mystic is your basic attack called Sharan Bolt. Like the Priest's basic attack, this does not restore mana despite all other classes having basic attacks that do. It does decent damage and can be glyphed to do more damage, and it's a good idea to glyph this if you're soloing a lot, but in groups you'll find yourself not attacking much. In fact, as a Mystic in a group, I should tell you that because of how many support spells you are given, you'll often be left out of combat the entire time. Always make sure you try to enter combat at least once towards the start of a dungeon in order to activate your campfire charms, which do not activate after being used until you enter combat, at least in the current Korean builds. The second ability you'll get is called Aaron's Vitae. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on this ability because it is one of your core Mystic abilities. Now, the fact that I'm saying this is a core ability of a Mystic is what will drive a lot of players away from playing a Mystic. This is a heal that you drop on the ground that other players have to get themselves in order to be healed by it. Most players who have played other MMOs will be turned off by a heal like this. You'll be turned off even more when I tell you that this is one of only 3 healing spells that Mystics get. It's important to note though that Tera isn't like other MMOs. Its combat system is very different. I promise you that nearly everyone in your group will know what these red balls do, and how good they are. When DPS and tanks take damage in Tera, they are made very aware of it, unlike in other games, because in Tera you cannot take multiple hits. If a damage dealer takes the hits, the first thing he'll do is back out. And if you are dropping these red balls on the ground though, the DPS will alternatively run and pick these up almost immediately. If they don't, you yell at them and explain how good these tiny red balls of lovin' are. Not only do they heal, but they remove debuffs that are acquired from the DPS taking damage off of a BAM. There are some tricks to note with this skill, one of them not being the fact that you can draw pictures with these balls. One of the tricks is that while dropping these motes, they generate a bit of aggro, but when party members use them, they do not give you healing threat, meaning you can use these to heal your group without generating threat onto yourself, something that priests cannot do with any of their heal spells. This means you can drop them all around before a boss is engaged and you have a Skittle army on the floor for your party. The skill adds a very unique playstyle to the Mystic, but this is only scratching the surface. The next ability you'll get is called Mana Infusion. This skill is not limited to Mystics. It is a mana regeneration spell that you can use to restore mana when you get low, and is usable while still casting healing spells, and at lower levels as a Mystic you'll find yourself having a lot of trouble with mana when healing in groups, so make yourself fond of this spell. The next skill is called Metamorphic Blast, a skill identical to the Priest skill. It even goes by the same name. This will be your main damage ability at lower levels. It has a short cooldown and is spammable, hitting all targets in front of you. Note that if a target is close enough, this skill can hit the same target twice to deal extra damage. The next skill you'll get is called Thrall of Protection. Pets are not anything new to the MMO genre, but Mystic pets are a bit different. There are several of them, but only one can be used at a time, and this will be the main one you use when soloing. It's a miniature tank that can tank mobs while you are soloing, making soloing as a Mystic very easy. The Thrall is even capable of tanking BAMs, but I must stress that you should never use the Thrall in groups. This Thrall is currently associated with a strange bug where it will put your group members in combat stance, and keep them in it, even after all enemies nearby are dead. This doesn't seem like much, but it will aggravate your group members to no end. It will slow your tank and ultimately slow the speed at which he can pull and gather mobs between pulls. There is no upside to using a Thrall of Protection in a party in the first place. He doesn't do significant damage compared to the damage dealers, and he will not out-threat a Lancer, so only use the Thrall in a group if you are intentionally trying to piss your party off. Next is a spell called Metamorphic Smite. It functions similar to Metamorphic Blast. It's a close-range AoE spell that requires your targets to be in front of you in order to do damage. While using this in PvP and soloing is good, using it on BAMs while healing will put yourself needlessly at risk, and you'll usually be too busy using support spells like dropping red orbs anyway. Teleport Jaunt is the next ability you will learn and is your escape ability as a Mystic. It's an amazing escape, but it does have a small cast time, so you can't use it too reactively or you'll get caught. Use this to move to your destination quickly, or to avoid BAM hits, or to escape PvP players training onto you. Note that there is a glyph that can give this a 25% chance to reset the ability's cooldown, allowing you to double blink, which is very useful for running away in PvP, as Mystics have a pretty low survivability once caught without this or retaliation off cooldown, but I'll go over their survivability more later. The next skill is a very unique skill called Corruption Ring. A lot of people will initially be confused about the applications of this skill and when to use it, etc. I'll first start by saying that there aren't many uses, and you probably won't use this skill all that often, but it's still good to know how it works. Channeling this spell will make you create a ring around yourself that does damage to anything in it, stealing energy from them. Using this spell again afterwards, after you have dealt damage, will restore mana to anyone in the room. Your second pet you will get is called Thrall of Vengeance. This is your damage dealing pet. He doesn't last long, but he's got quite a bit of fight in him. Remember that using this pet will unsummon the other Thralls, so if soloing, it's better to stick with your protection Thrall. This guy is good for helping your group do damage on BAMs, or do damage period if you are partied with someone else while leveling. He only lasts 17 seconds, but he has a 20-second cooldown, meaning he can be up almost as much as you want him up. Next up is a spell called Volley of Curses. This is a damage over time spell that is cast via lock-on and can stack up to 3 times. This is a high damage skill and you should be keeping it stacked on BAMs if you find yourself doing nothing between your very few healing spells you have to cast or dropping orbs. This is also a great spell for PvP as you can easily kite and keep yourself healed while letting this dot will down your foe. It is an instant cast and has no cooldown, making it very easy to use this in almost any situation. But the debuff can drop easily if you are forced into healing or doing something else for a few seconds. Sonorous Dream is the 10th spell you will get as a mystic. It is a sleep spell, but unlike the priest's sleep spell, this version can lock on up to 2 targets. The sleep doesn't last long, but the CC is very effective in PvP and PvE. Note that sleeping a BAM while it is trying to use a dangerous attack will interrupt it, not unlike a Lancer's Chain or a Priest's Sleep. This can be used in countless situations, be it shrinking the size of a pool, or sleeping a BAM, or sleeping healers in PvP. Note that a neat trick with this spell is to sleep a BAM if a Lancer dies, run in, res him, and then he can break the sleep. The next skill of a Mystic is called Aaron's Cleansing. This is a Mystic's direct target dispel ability. It's not as good as a Priest's as it is an AoE, but it can lock on up to 2 targets at a time and remove any debuffs from those targets. An easy way to tell who needs to dispel is to look for anybody in your party with a purple health bar. Then try to dispel them as quickly as possible. In the later dungeons, there are some very dangerous debuffs that get thrown out, so get into the habit of dispelling as quickly as you've seen the debuffs appear. Your third Thrall you will get is called Thrall of Life. This is a cute little fairy that will heal you whenever you are hurting. Though this fairy does heal party members near you, its primary objective is to heal you and it will focus its heals on you. This is a great way to keep yourself healthy in PvE. This pet will take care of you so you can focus on healing your teammates. In PvP, this Thrall can make you very hard to kill. The skill isn't spammable, so be careful about taking damage and getting caught as a Mystic. At the same time though, the spell doesn't have a long cooldown, so don't forget to use it when you need it. Next up is Titanic Favor. This is the most important spell in your arsenal because this is your only direct healing spell you will get as a Mystic at all, ever. This is around the part in the guide where I assume most people will turn away from Mystics. Their playstyle is so different, and although they are healers, they only have 3 healing spells. One is a fairy that can only heal themselves, another is orbs on the ground, and the last is this, a spell that can only target 2 people. It is a lock-on skill, but it has next to no cooldown, so it is spammable. No, Mystics do not have a huge AoE healing spell, and no, they do not have a giant heal spell. All they have is this. Also note that this heal puts a heal over time on your target though. This can generate threat at the start of a pull, so try not to heal a Lancer when he's about to pull a group of mobs, though this is more on the Lancer's shoulders than yours to worry about. So now that we've gone over all 3 of the Mystic heal spells, you must be wondering, why pick a Mystic to heal? If you've seen some of my other videos, you'll notice I mentioned several times that Mystics are better than Priests for PvE. The reasoning may not be obvious yet, but I'll go over the skills that make Mystics amazing in PvE as they come up. Note that despite you only having this heal for direct healing, it is a very strong spell that can be used over and over again. You'll need to master it for higher end dungeons though, practicing with how locking on works. Next up is a typical Resurrection spell. It will resurrect any party members within the circle, and the circle is cast 4 meters in front of you. While other classes can res using a scroll, it has a long cooldown, whereas your res does not, so you should always be the one doing the rezzing unless it is you that needs to be rezzed. The next spell is an aura. I'm going to skip over it for now though and go over all the auras at the end of the video. The 16th spell on the list is called Summon Party. Like the priest version of the spell, you can use it to summon anyone in your party to wherever you are, as long as you're in the same zone as them. This will also change their channels to match yours, but this doesn't work cross-continents, cross-world, or inside dungeons. Regression is your next spell, and its main uses are in PvP. This is a close-range AoE dispel that requires you to be fairly close to whatever it is you are dispelling. There are some mobs that may need to be dispelled in this game in PvE, and learning which and when can be tricky. This spell's main applications are stripping the buffs off of players though. Skipping over another aura for now, we jump right into a spell called Titanic Wrath. This spell is one of the reasons that a mystic, when you are healing a group, will never have time to do damage. This spell has a small range and buffs anyone near you for 25 seconds to deal increased damage, including yourself. You can glyph it to last longer, and the cooldown is only 10 seconds in case you miss hitting a group member, and you can cast it again. This does not stack with the priest version of this buff, which lasts 15 minutes, so you must be really confused why you would pick a mystic over a priest. Don't worry, it's coming, I promise. Next up is Auron's Tear. This is one of the top 5 most overpowered spells in this game. This is a clone of your starting ability, Auron's Batai, only instead of restoring health, it restores mana. All classes can restore mana on their own, so why is this skill so good? It ties into why mystics are great healers and support. First, you'll need to know something about Slayers and Berserkers though. Unlike other classes, Slayers and Berserkers do not have typical mana pools. More rather, it's like a rage pool that goes up when they do basic attacks or when they eat these orbs. You can guarantee a Slayer and a Berserker full rage going into combat. You also need to know that basic attacks for all classes do very little damage, their main purpose being to restore mana for said class. But by dropping these orbs, you eliminate the need for all damage dealers in your group to do basic attacks, meaning they can spam their strongest abilities without worrying about mana, ever. On top of these orbs, you get another spell I'll go over later that further improves your group's mana regen. As a mystic, you'll want to be dropping these with your red orbs non-stop during boss fights, while using Titanic Wrath to buff your group between healing people. For best results, drop these orbs right beside the party members that need them so they get minimal interruption in their rotation. You should be alright to run into melee to drop these for them, and for Sorks and Archers, just run up to their faces and drop them a blue skittle of love. The next skill you will learn is called Mire. This is a super snare, slowing anyone affected by it drastically. A side effect is that the target cannot be knocked down or immobilized while snared, but it is worth mentioning that this can target up to 4 players at once, meaning if you have 4 melee trained onto you into PvP, this will get them off of you as long as it doesn't miss or get resisted. I'll be skipping over another aura to jump into your next and final Thrall, your Thrall of Wrath. This summons a gigantic golem that will do some AoE damage and then vanish. This is a long cooldown and is very situational, but if you find time between buffing, healing, and dropping orbs, this should be your go-to damage spell if it isn't on cooldown. Otherwise, resort to stacking your dot on whatever it is your group is fighting. The next skill you learn is called Ancient Binding. It's another slow that slows less than Mire, but it has a shorter cooldown and isn't lock-on, so it can be used more reactively. It's situational though, and more applicable in PvP than PvE, unless you are kiting a ban without your Thrall or something. Vow of Rebirth is another one of your most powerful spells in your arsenal. This spell can be cast on any group member so that when they or you die, you come back to life. It's a good idea to cast this on your group's Lancer by getting him to stand away from other party members at the start. This skill can be misaimed if you try to cast it into a group of people as it is instant cast and will literally cast on the first player in front of you, so make sure you cast it properly and always have it up. And note that it has a 20-minute cooldown. Next up is a PvP only spell called Curse of Exhaustion, not to be confused with the priest spell Curse of Exhaustion. This spell is a lock-on skill that can target up to 4 enemy players and increase their ability cooldowns by 20%. This is a lot more than you think it does. It could really screw with someone in a fight, or rather 4 people at once. So make sure you keep it on your hotkey bar when you are PvPing, but in PvP, you won't need this on your hotkey bar at all. It doesn't work on mobs. Skipping over another aura, we move on to the second last spell you'll get as a mystic, Shara's Lash. This skill is your own personal Ash arrow. It's a skill shot that stuns on a 30-second cooldown. When using this spell, take into account the incredibly slow missile speed. Anyone who knows it's coming can dodge it, and its range is fairly short. It's good for PvE for soloing or interrupting bans, and good in PvP to stun someone directly in front of you like a Slayer, Zerger, Warrior, or Lancer, giving you time to get away. Last but not least is a Mystic's strongest PvP spell, Curse of Confusion. This is a lock-on skill that can afflict up to 4 targets near you and will fear them temporarily. It's an AoE CC, amazing for setting up kills in teamfights, and this is one of the reasons that despite their low self-survivability skills in PvP, Mystics are still preferred in PvP over Priests. I may seem like a Mystic advocate by saying that they are better in PvP and PvE, but it's a known fact that Mystics simply have more utility in both scenarios despite having less healing than Priests. Priest fans worry not though, Blue Hole is already planning to buff that class. Alright, now that we've gone over all of Mystic's main spells, I'll explain their auras. Mystics have 2 separate sets of 2 auras. What I mean by this is that one aura cannot be activated with another. There are 4 in total, and you can have a maximum of 2 auras activated at any time. Firstly, one thing unanimous with all 4 auras is that they have an MP upkeep cost of 30 mana per second, and they have a 20-yard range, so you have to be near your party members for them to benefit from it. The first set of auras is Aura of the Unyielding and Aura of the Tenacious. You can only have one of these two activated at a time. Aura of the Unyielding is a buff that reduces your party members' chances to get critically hit by 50%. The spell uses are mainly PvP to protect your team from too much burst. Aura of the Tenacious is a group-wide buff that gives your party back 20 mana every second. You should immediately notice that the upkeep of this spell is 30 mana every 2 seconds, but will give you 40 mana every 2 seconds, meaning it still benefits the Mystic slightly. This is the PvE aura of the two, and this will help with stopping your group from ever running out of mana when coupled with your blue Skittles. The second set of auras is Aura of the Swift and Aura of the Merciless. Like the previous two, only one of these can be activated at a time. Aura of the Swift is a movement speed buff for your group that will increase their movement speed by 10% out of combat. It's great for situations where your party needs to move around a lot, but because of the other aura in this group, you will not be using Aura of the Swift much. The last aura, Aura of the Merciless, is, well, I'll let you guys read this one yourselves. No, those aren't typos, and yes, you are reading that right. It doubles the crit rate of your party members. This is the strongest spell in the game, and the main reason why Mystics are preferred for endgame dungeons. The damage differences for your party members is insane when comparing groups with a Priest Healer and a Mystic Healer. If you are interested in doing speed clears at max level, you'll want a Mystic over a Priest, if nothing but for this spell. That's all for Mystics, but I'd like to end on a note that Mystics are the second hardest class to master in Tera, second only to Warriors because of how complicated and diverse their spells and abilities are. And when all is said and done, Priests can heal just as good as Mystics can. Priests just lack some support and utility spells. I hope you found this guide useful, and I'll be doing either Slayer, Sorc, or Warrior next. Boop!